Welcome to the Studio Success Formula Podcast, the business school for dance studio owners. And now for your host, Clint Salter.
Hey guys, it's Clint Salter here, your host for the Studio Success Formula Podcast. Welcome to episode number 66. Now, a question that I get asked all the time is, Clint, what is like the one thing, like the one quality, the one skill I need to run a successful business? And I always get stumped on this question because I think that there's more than one. And so one day, not too long ago, I sat down and I was like, okay, I've done all these interviews, I'm speaking with all these people, and every time I talk to them, I generally say something different because it's whatever pops into my head at that time that I think that that person needs to hear or needs to work on. So generally it's a gap. But I've come to realize there are about 7 things that you need to master to be an amazing studio owner. And it's not things like mastering how to write copy or, run a Facebook ad, because with all of those tactical even strategy, the strategy side of things that we put into our studio, we can get people to help us with that, right? But what we can't get people to do for us is the internal work that we need to do on ourselves to be amazing leaders and to be phenomenal business owners. And I think sometimes we forget about that because we're so busy in the doing of the marketing, of the lesson plans, of the concert and recital costumes that we actually forget about ourselves and what we need to work on to be better business owners and to really make our dream and our vision for the studio that we want come alive. And so what are the things that we need to master or work on continually? Well, I've come up with the list of 7 and I've put them up on my wall. I'm looking at them now because these aren't things that you just like do and get and then you move on, right? These are continual works in progress, always learning, always focusing on just getting better and clearer around these different things. So number 1, I hope you've got your notepad and pen ready. This is not going to be a long podcast for you today, but it's going to be one that's going to give you instruction and definitely a couple of things to think about how you currently operate in these 7 areas, these 7 mindsets, essentially. So the first one is resilience. Resilience is so important, and I'm so glad that I built up my resilience muscle at a really young age, because obviously being a male growing up and dancing and singing, and I wasn't one of the boys that played football, and so I was bullied at school, and I quickly realized, thanks to the support of my mum, that if I wanted to continue doing this, then I'm going to have to get resilient. I'm going to have to get knocked down and back up, and get knocked down and back up. And I'm going to have to learn how to do that fast. And so we get knocked down, and it's definitely not about getting knocked down and feeling pain, because it's definitely part of life. And I'm a big believer that we need to experience that to be better human beings. But it's how fast you get up. Great example. I was talking to one of our inner circle members the other day, and she said to me, I'm not doing well. I said, tell me what's going on. And she said, we've been interviewing for a new office person and no one turned up to the interviews. And I was like, okay. And I'm just, and she was really down about it because they'd put a lot of work and energy into getting this role right, in terms of the position, the tasks, the responsibilities. I mean, it's really great. And so she was deflated that no one had turned up. And I was like, that's okay. We'll find, none of them were the right people. We're going to find the right people. But in that instance, she had the opportunity to think about that and let that suck her energy for a week, 2 weeks, or you've got the opportunity to go, okay, no one turned up, that's fine, none of them were going to be right for the role, I got to get back on the horse again. So that resilience when you've got a knock back to get back up again. It's the same when you're dealing with parents, when you get that text message or email from a parent, like, what do you do? Are you like, oh, oh no, that parent sent me that. And then you like build a big story in your head, and then it's like 3 days later and you're still angry at that parent, and now you're getting really angry at that parent, but you haven't confronted them, you haven't communicated, the story gets bigger and bigger, you're angry at your husband or your partner about it, and it just spirals completely out of control and takes you away from what you should be focused on, which is looking after your current students and parents and growing your business and taking care of yourself. Okay, so resilience isn't about not getting knocked down. It's about how quickly we get back up and move on with our lives. Number 2 is persistence. And again, this I believe anyway, resilience and persistence dance hand in hand, because the resilience thing is like picking yourself back up, and the persistence thing is like pushing through. Because the great thing about persistence is that we will get to where we want to go. I'm a big believer with steps. So a step-by-step action plan, a strategy, but then when we follow that, sometimes the desired outcome isn't, the outcome isn't the desired outcome. So we're moving forward towards something that we want, and then there's a roadblock or something happens and we're like, oh, that's not what I wanted. And so the persistence piece is like finding another route, going another way. Like if you're in a maze, like trying the other avenue for you to go down. That is persistence. Keep knocking at those doors. There's so many great stories around persistence, from Harry Potter to the Colonel at Kentucky Fried Chicken to, Jim Carrey and Will Smith, all these amazing entrepreneurs really who were passionate about what they did, and they got a break. And all we see is the break. All we see is J.K. Rowling writing lots of books, getting the movie deals, making lots of money. But do we see that, the backstory of that, of her, pitching the idea and people saying no one's going to want that? It's the same as Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, a multi-million-dollar company now, books and training. I can't remember the exact number, but they went to, so many publishers, and they were told, no one's going to buy this. This is silly. So persistence is key for your success and for the success of your studio. Number 3, and this is an interesting one, and what I see a lot with studio owners is a lack of self-belief. Every morning I wake up and I say to myself, you've got this. You've got this day. The day does not have you. And I think as studio owners, a lot of the time the day has us. We're actually not running the day is running us. And so that self-belief of saying, you know what to do, you can do this, is so important. No one who has success is extraordinary, is an extraordinary superhuman being. We're all human beings here. We all have the same amount of time in the day. But what I believe is a lot of successful people in business especially have unwavering self-belief. And one of my first mentors, who now is a dear friend, Christina Guidotti, she wrote the book True Believers. And it's a book around backing yourself. You have to back yourself. And at the end of the day, there's people in the world that have overcome a lot worse things than what you're dealing with in your business, in your studio at the moment. So go, I've got this. I can get through this. If so-and-so has gotten through that, I can definitely get through this. And sometimes putting your problem or challenge into perspective is one of the best things that you can do. And also when it comes to self-belief, don't ask for the belief from others. Don't try and get that from someone else to say, you've got this. You know what you're doing. You actually need to be that person for yourself. As we know, running a studio is a business is a lonely game, but back yourself 100%. And if you're part of our association, obviously we've got your back as well. It's a nice added bonus in the Dance Studio Owners association. So number 4 is to think big. Don't just get by, think big. And so, like, what is the big dream? What is the big dream of your studio? And we talked about this recently in our Dance Studio Reboot, in our 14-day free program that we ran, is like, what is the vision that you want to create for your studio? Like, and don't do it and then contradict, but I couldn't do that, but I don't have the staff, we don't have our own venue, I'm a single parent, I wouldn't be able to achieve what they've got over there. So we start making excuses. But I want you to leave the excuses behind and just think really big. What is it that you want to achieve? And tell people about thinking, how big you are thinking. This is what I want to achieve. Share your vision with your team. It is amazing to get your team, whether it's like you and an office staff member or it's you and 30 teachers, however many people it is, share the vision that you have for your studio. Number 5 is successful people do not look sideways. They focus on their studio, not everyone else's studio. And I know this is hard in the world of social media. We might want to jump over to the studio up the road, jump onto their Facebook page and see what they're up to, and then get angry because they've taken our idea, and then that consumes our energy and makes us feel ripped off and angry, and that's not useful, is it? Because really, what can you do about that? We've all had situations where someone has taken something that we feel that we have created, but we have 2 choices. We have one choice, which is what is our reaction? Then we have 2 choices of how really are we going to react to that? Are we going to move on? Is it going to drive us to have more innovation in what we do to serve our students and our teachers and our parents, our dance families better? How do you use that? Is it a drive of motivation to push you forward? Or do you get angry? Do you complain to everyone about it? Does it take up all your energy and then you really have an unproductive day because that's all you're focused on? Don't continually look sideways. Yes, be aware of what other studios are doing in your area. You need to have awareness. But awareness does not mean checking up on them every single day to see what they're doing and then complaining about it. That is not useful for anyone. It also doesn't create a great energy inside of your studio. So guys, do not look sideways. Number 6 is trust. This concept in my life especially has been one that I work on really hard, from personal relationships to business relationships to trusting myself as a business owner, and it's followed me everywhere that I've gone since I was a young child. But you've got to trust in yourself, and also trust in everyone that is a part of your studio. It's such a vital part of having a healthy business attitude. Because there are successful people, who don't trust, but they're paranoid, they're overstressed, and they spend a great deal of time focusing on the bad things. Trust that everything is unfolding the way that it should be to get you to where you need to be in your life and business. And when you put that trust in, when you have that, amazing things happen. And the other thing it does is when you trust that everything will work out the way that it should work out, is that you don't sweat the small stuff. You can focus on that bigger vision, on that bigger goal of what you're trying to achieve. And number 7, finally, is about surrounding yourself with the right people. Now, there's lots of different quotes. Jim Rohn's got that great quote of, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with, which is one of my favorites, and you've probably heard that before. But surround yourself with people that appreciate your vision, they support your success, and they lift you up. Like, think about it now. Who are you spending time with? Day after day, week after week? Who are those people that you're giving energy to? that you're having lunch with, that you're spending dinners with, that you're spending weekends with? Are they moaners? Are they complainers? Do they whinge a lot? Because if they do, you will start to pick up those habits. It's only natural. There's nothing, there's nothing wrong with you, but you will start to pick up those habits. And I've noticed in my own life that when I'm around people who, and not just from that, maybe from a health perspective, I remember I was dating someone once a little while ago, and they were a smoker. And not that I started smoking, but they were smoking and they were unhealthy. And so I started noticing that my patterns around food started to get unhealthy, around drinking soft drinks started to get unhealthy, because I was spending a lot of time at that time with them. So you want to see, who are you surrounding yourself with, and really be honest with yourself and see if some of their patterns, some of their habits have been rubbing off on you. And if they're habits that are amazing, like they're fitness fanatics and you guys are going cycling on weekends, and that's a good one. But there's also those negative habits as well. And so you need to be aware of them before you jump into them. And then before you know it, you're like, wow, this isn't a habit now. That's ingrained in me. And it takes a lot of work to then unlearn that habit and go into a healthier one for you. So surround yourself with the right people that can lift you higher. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I know it definitely was helpful for me when I distilled these 7 mindsets that successful business owners need. So number 1, let's recap: resilience. Number 2, persistence. Number 3, self-belief. Number 4, think big. Number 5, don't look sideways. Number 6, trust so deeply in yourself and your business. And number 7, surround yourself with the right people. Okay, everyone, I hope you have an awesome week. If you've got any questions, jump on over to our Facebook page, Studio Success Formula, or the Dance Studio Owners Association, or you can send us through an email, transform@studiosuccessformula.com. Take care and talk to you again really soon. Bye for now.
Are you enjoying the Studio Success Formula podcast? Then we'd love for you to share the love. We want to help more dance studio owners become go-to studios, so we'd greatly appreciate you writing us a review on iTunes. For taking the time out to do so, every month, Clint will be selecting one lucky dance studio owner to receive a Power Business Coaching session. Simply visit the iTunes store today, search for Studio Success Formula, click on ratings and reviews, and then write your review. Thanks in advance. Take care, and we'll see you next time.